So the sense of self, the one who, whatever it is, the one who tries to figure things out, the one who is in pain, the one who is has self-doubt, the one who has self-criticism, all of those self-hatred, self-deprecation, self. Well, what's the common denominator in that? Self, the sense of self takes shape, suffers, and then it loosens up to some degree. Takes shape. And the more it takes shape, the more it concretizes. Of course, look at this is what well, it's what some people's bodies do, like that. But this is what the energetics of the body does, contracts. You know, it's the example that I think of is, when you go out in really cold weather, what does the body do? Right? It contracts to keep itself warm rather than like those yogis do. They just dissolve that sense of self who's freezing, and boom, it doesn't happen any longer. So pain, in my experience, happens on these different levels. And the last level is the physical body. My father had his hands and his feet were crippled like that. He could barely walk, starting in his late 60s. He died at 74. Terrible disease. And I didn't understand as a little one that his cruelty was, we didn't know anything about PTSD or complex, but he went through horrors, horrible things. He fought in two wars, and I can imagine seeing what he saw, and lost all of his platoon, things like that. So I didn't understand all this. It just came across to me as somebody who was really cruel and hated me. So this mind made up all kinds of limited stories, that I wasn't enough, that it was my fault, because that's what little ones do to make sense of, okay, I have to live in this situation. Um, if if I blame my caretakers for what's happening, uh, that's not a very good survival strategy. So we go, oh, that's happening. That's a good one. It must be here. I'm a bad one. And that seed, when we start to believe we're a bad one, what does the body do? It starts to contract, because of my experience. And there is so much sensitivity to the felt sense now that I'm able to witness the relationship between a fear-based untrue thought and the corresponding contraction. So yesterday, when there was fierce identification arose, and I likened it to a swarm of bees, and that's how the thoughts were, and they were saying, "Oh, how can you profess to share anything with anybody else if this is your condition, if you haven't solved this, right? Blah 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 blah." And then there's the believing of it, and with the believing of it, the body's going, So I'm watching the concretization of of this not enough self take shape, and completely, not completely, because there was a niggling that knew what was happening. And that's what these meetings are about. This, oh, what is happening? How is the suffering taking shape? And, I asked, I said, please show me how identification occurs. A lot more than once did I ask that. Careful what you ask for. So, as this painful, deficient, not enough sense of self concretized, so did everybody else. So the thoughts are, oh, I'm a phony, or I don't have anything to offer. Who are you to do this? And then what are people going to think? Why do they, just this whole swarm of bees. And the contraction was there all night long. And it occurred as painful. But the distinction is, and this is, I think, an important one. This pain used to manifest as, and does to a small degree in some areas of the body, but it used to manifest as body pain rather than energetic pain. And I recognize now, ah, this is energetic. So if we can catch it at the energetic level, then it doesn't concretize into physical pain. And if we have physical pain, then the way we start being with it, so to speak, giving it a bigger container than what the thinking mind says. We let it be larger than the body. We let it be in the moment, just like the sounds are in the moment. And that's what we're going to investigate today. And by doing that, we we can start reversing, oh, reversing the taking shape. And we can start to allow, this energetic uh, contraction to start losing its shape, losing its shape. And again, I'll go back to the analogy of those women who have their feet bound. Okay. And so every time, originally as an infant, we're wide open. So that's the relaxed hand. And then we start to believe things that aren't true. Even the belief you're just a body. You're a little person. You're a boy. You're a girl. We're being taught, and every time, and so the sense of the body starts taking shape, because babies are not identified with their bodies. They just see the picture of the whole, bodies included. That's the importance of looking out of a wide lens of attention. Let me see this as an infant one. And we start to see, oh my gosh, the body's in the moment. It can't be, it can't be separate. It can't be separate. Well, what's going on here? So we learn to take shape by the naming. And every time we're saying, I'm a girl, there's a little contraction. Why? It's not the total truth. So this body, this sense of self, is starting to take shape, take shape, take shape, take shape. And now we start to tell ourselves, especially if we had a traumatic childhood or stress, or we were extra sensitive, and we start taking responsibility for the perceived bad things that are happening around us until all those beliefs are the binding. You're only a body. You're a girl. You're a bad girl. You're a good girl. There's something wrong with me. We're binding until that sense of self feels normal. So now work like this, when we start going, wait a minute, is it true? Is that me? And every time we question a belief, every time we do self-inquiry, every time we do meditation, every time we do a little bit of contemplation or relax the way we're attending, we start to unbind the deformity, unbind this sense of self, this survival sense of self, who is afraid to be in the world, whose predominant concern is safety and getting love from outside of itself. Why? Because it believes it's just the foot, the deformed foot. So now we're taking off the binding. Okay, now the binding is off. And there's the deformed foot still there. Now we all wish we would go, but can you imagine a bound foot? If it actually relaxed all at once, every bone would break. Even people who, in my experience, have sudden awakenings, then the foot goes back and we still have to do the work, it seems. Okay, that we still have to, until that hand is relaxed and we realize, oh, the truth of our being, I am that which is aware. Until that is fully relaxed. And we can compare this to the lens of attention. This is a narrow lens of attention. And the more deformed it is, the more bound it is. That's an emergency state of attention. That's narrow, objective. This sense of self is the object, and it's narrow, it's constricted. Now that's painful. But because it happens so long and it's invisible, that lens of attention narrowing, the binding happens over time. So the deformity, I mean, if they did it all at once, right? And then bound that, ow, how painful would that be? But little by little, it's not really, it's uncomfortable, but it's not excruciating. But it does the same thing. So the unwinding, gentle, gentle. And as we question these beliefs, this starts to relax. And then we get glimpses. That, 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 that. But every time we realize that, the clench is not as tight. And we start to see, I was never that. I was always open and relaxed. It's just a mistake. Oh, mistaken identity. Oh. And this process varies, I think, to the degree that this was tight. Now, that's just my guess. So the process yesterday and last night was forgetting. But I didn't forget. I didn't forget completely, because I've seen this so many times. And what happened then is letting everything be as it is, but in an open state. so that the beliefs could lift off of the sensation. And then here they are. And I'm able to hear those voices now. And here's the sensation. And I'm able to see, and the thoughts are coming and going and coming and going, and I'm still here listening. Coming and going and coming and going, and I'm still here listening. They speak and then it's quiet. They speak and then it's quiet. Well, what am I then? I'm the quiet. I'm the listening. I'm that which is listening. And I'm still here. Thoughts come and go. Thoughts come and go. It's easier than sensation, but we'll get to that. Thoughts come and go. Thoughts come and go. I'm still here. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I have to be still. I have to be still. Because I can't be just what comes and goes. Wait, there's stillness. There's silence. There's listening. Is that affected by any of the sound, any of the voices that rises in it? No. Silence can't be touched by sound. Sound arises out of it. And what are the voices of thought but sounds at their very base level? Wow. Okay. Now we've relaxed. And in the next second, okay. And then we turn attention towards sensation. And you go, wait a minute, I'm still. And there's movement to these sensation. It goes here and here. It's like I say it's like an energetic lava lamp in my experience of intensities. But I've already proven on the stillness. On the stillness that's almost inside the sensations, watching this lava lamp. And then I see a mental container of a body and a body part. And I see that's a thought, that's an image. Now I go, but wait a minute, I'm the seeing of the image. What is that? And the image leaves. I'm still here seeing. Dang, my light just went out. So there's this constant willingness to look that at, here's the movement. And here's the thought saying, I don't like this. What's happening? What's happening? Who are you? Blah, 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 this swarm of nonsense. And there are ways to return. And in my experience, it simply has to be recognizing what else is here. What else is here besides this noise, which is so dominant in the nighttime because there's so much silence? But how can I reach into that silence? I relax the way I'm attending. And here's the swarm of bees as sensation. And I say, what else is here? And I notice that silence. Now I've gone beyond skin line. and there's no shape. There seems to be shape, but I watch those shapes. What's watching? What's noticing? So let's do that experientially. Notice just for a moment. Expand the way you're looking till you see the whole moment. You don't have to move your eyes. You can move your eyes, but just let the way that you're looking expand to include more and more and more and more of what you can see. Do you see how the lens just goes, whoa, that's this, unbite me. The way that now you have all the space in the world to look from. Now it may go right back, shoo, because of the binding. But notice how effortless, this is a huge piece in this. Notice how effortless it is to go from paying attention to looking at a computer screen to go, bam. You don't even have to move your eyes. You can to see the whole moment. It's really important to see the effortlessness that it takes to relax attention. And the only thing that makes it seem difficult is the lens goes right back because it's habituated. So we have to develop a new habit. Open. Now do the same thing with listening. You've probably been narrow focusing on the sound of my voice, but just see what other sounds are here. How effortful was that? And now notice, if you can, the silence that my voice is coming out of, disappearing into. And if it seems like there's just more sounds here, well, just take your attention to right to this spot and experiment, like right at the spot of this voice. When it stops, where it occurs, is silent. Now do that with any other sound. And notice, in order to do that, you have to sit as the listening. You have to open attention. The moment you go, what other sounds are here besides the sounds of the voices chattering and blathering away? And sometimes it's complete silence, like in the nighttime. Ooh, and silence, because the lens of attention is so habituated to movement, is so habituated to paying attention to the form. Formlessness, the silence, it seems not to be here. But check it out. Is it? And what has to happen? Doesn't the way you're listening just have to relax? And the body, look at that, takes a deep breath. Now, see the whole moment by relaxing the way that you're looking. And see, even the parts of the body that you can see are actually in the moment, in the visual field. It's just one image suspended. We just open the camera lens. This is what's here. Now, what starts to happen in the field of sensation when you notice the whole moment? It may be uncomfortable, but the reason it's uncomfortable is the deformity. it's uncomfortable to start relaxing because it's so habituated. But we're going to borrow from the listening. We're going to borrow from the seeing. So we let sensations arise, and then if it is painful, we invite that discomfort to be in the silence. In the stillness of the moment. If eyes are open, we can invite it to be in this whole bubble that is suspended called now. It can go, there may be a sensation of a skin line, but just, is it possible just to say, I learned, wait a minute, I learned that I was a body, but there's something else here. So we feel the shape of the body. And then we even let that sensation be held. We just the way we had to relax, the way we were listening, the way we were seeing. Is it possible to now open the lens of the way that we're feeling into the moment until sensation, including the sensation of body we call me, to be free. So both, maybe the sensation we call discomfort, well, we don't call it that, a thought calls it that. A thought arises and names it to be pain. A thought arises, names it to be a body part. Pain in my arm. Really? Well, what if we hear that label and along with the rest of the sounds that are here? That sound of that voice, just like this one arising, disappearing. I'm still here. Now that sensation that was labeled a moment ago, can it be viewed in the absence of label? And see that, let that container, that definition, just vanish as if you were a baby and you couldn't understand. You didn't have any ability to cut things out yet. And this smaller sensation, can you notice it's in a bigger sensation? And that bigger sensation we might call body, but both of those, like it's a one of those Russian eggs, but they're contained by something bigger and something bigger. And so if there's a feeling of an edge, notice that even that feeling of an edge is contained in the body of the moment. What is that like? to rest like that, to like now invite the sensations to take up as much space in the moment, just to see. Does the moment complain or define anything that's arising? Now, really check out, is there anything dangerous in this moment? Now, the mind might say, oh, yeah, this sensation is dangerous. But notice that thought. And I want you to look, is anything actually, is anything that you can see actually being harmed by what's being felt? Is anything that you hear being harmed? There might be a thought that says, oh, me, I am being harmed. But where is that one? Are you a sensation? Sensations move. Does the silence move? Does the listening move? Can I be something that moves? Just look. Were these sensations always here? Or are there times when they go away? And when they go away, are you still here? Were you ever hurt by a sensation? Or is it just a thought? Can you be a thought? I don't like this. And then that thought leaves. Are you still there? Can you be something that comes and goes? Can you be the noise of thinking? Or are you listening to the noise? Silent. Can silence be hurt by a sound? Where is the danger? Where is the danger in feeling? What if it's just the unbinding? Out of the container of body part, out of the container of body, just free. Oh my goodness, just free for once. Knowing that there's no harm. Can a little bit more be felt? Can a little bit more be welcomed? Not just welcomed by a thought, by a body, but welcomed in the whole moment of now. And when we let the sensations be free in the expanse of the moment, physical pain starts to dissolve, and what we're experiencing is energetic. And then when the energetic discomfort starts to dissolve, we're working in the engine room. And the closer we come to allowing the sense of self, the body to lose its shape, we give it more room for the thinking to lift off the sensation. Just watch how it will take shape. And there might be a person that says, this is too much. But is that anything more than a thought? And that thought leaves. Is it too much for the silence? This is the way. That foot made out of contraction can relax. This is the definition of willingness. And willingness gives rise to curiosity. Curiosity gives rise to wonder. And wondering gives rise to freedom. The freedom to let everything be as it is. Just rest there. In this curiosity that you are, in the wonder that you are. Knowing if things take shape, that's all that's happening. They're just taking shape. The lens of attention is just narrowing. And you can feel the the habit of the fist wanting to clench back. It's okay. It's been that way a long time. Just borrow the silence. Borrow the listening. Borrow the space that you see with eyes closed. Notice its boundlessness. Notice the deep listening and willingness there to feel. Beyond a skin line. Just loose shape. No containers except the moment. The only container for sensation is the silence. Is the wonder. Is the space. And in a moment when you stop, just notice when the person takes shape again, that these it takes shape as the body, but perhaps letting the contractions stay open. So the whole sense of self who is in pain or suffering, that doesn't have to take shape when the body takes shape, when the person takes shape. Let them be free.